What's up, guys? It's Friday night, TGIF, and you are tuning in to On Air with Kim and Selene. Now, it's me, Selene, in the house today, and you most probably wondering where is Kim, right? So we got a big announcement, guys. So Kim, our dear Kim, has given birth to a healthy baby girl just last week. So the entire AFO family, we are just overjoyed. Now, we all have been waiting for a baby to pop up, and finally, this is it. Now, for those of you who know her in person, you can hurry up and congratulate her. Okay, so heads up, we will all be missing her for a while as she goes into her confinement. So, meantime, in this interim period when she is away, I will be helming the show. Now, as many of you are aware of, this show is actually part of the initiatives to support the donation campaign that AFO Radio has launched in late April. It's called Safe with Stories MY. So it's a joint initiative between AFO Radio, Track Kid, Kiwanis Malaysia, and Vijay Transit. And for this campaign, we have been getting people we know, like artists, entertainers, influencers, entrepreneurs, and even the public to actually lend us their voices by reading a children's book and share it on social media. And at the same time, we want to urge the public to make a little donation to help fund the essential items and education materials to special kids and the underprivileged communities. So, of course, as we chip in to donate at the same time, the storytelling part does provide some entertainment to you and your little ones, and that I think make Safe with Stories my very, very special. So if you want to make a little contribution, you can always click on the link that we will be pinning on the comment section later on. For more information, you can also visit our Facebook page or Instagram page at Safe with Stories My. So spread the love and spread the message across. Now this evening we have quite a few guest speakers coming on board with us. Now, they all have something in common. So, what are they? So, they are actually great members of the NGO that we partner with for this campaign. So, all of them are actually members of Kiwanis Malaysia. So today we want our viewers and our listeners to get to know more about Kiwanis, hence this very special arrangement. So for a start, we will first be inviting two guests to join us on board, a lady and a gentleman. So please welcome Rosemary Tan, Kiwanis Service Chair, and Ivan O, immediate past governor of Kiwanis Malaysia. Hi Rosemary, hi
Hey, hi.
Ivan.
Hello.
Good evening. Thanks for having
Good.
us.
Yes, welcome to AFO Radio, by the way, and thank you so much for chipping in your time to join us. So, to all the friends out there, if you know our dear Rosemary and our dear Ivan, and if you wish to say hi, so comment and let us know. Okay, give us a like on the video, and also don't forget to share the video. Okay. So, Rosemary and Ivan, I know that Kiwanis Malaysia is part of the Kiwanis International Global Community. But, tell us a little bit more about the organization and, what is Kiwanis' mission here in Malaysia.
Okay. We are Kiwanis is a community of volunteers and clubs, and even with our partners, where we try to make a difference in the children's lives one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And we are worldwide. Our motto is serving the children of the world. So everything we do is emphasis on the children. So right now, worldwide, we have about 500 over members, which includes the members of the youth program.
Mm-hmm.
And we are present in
500,000.
500,000, yes.
Thanks for adding
we
to
are
that.
serving, we are in 80 over countries.
80 over countries, that's huge.
Yeah. And
Yep.
each community have its own needs and all that. So it depends on the creativity of our members. We will do many types of projects for hunger relief, poverty, and also for literacy and all that. Many types of activities.
Fantastic. So, like you mentioned, Kiwanis is basically very dedicated to improve the lives of children, right? and then you support a lot of causes like you want to fight hunger, like poverty, improve literacy, and so those of you listening here, so no doubt Kiwani's presence is pretty much humongous and definitely not a small grassroots operation. Now that you mentioned, because in the past I have also volunteered with some other NGOs. Like for example, we know that UNICEF has been on the ground to uphold children's rights, and then we have like WWF. They are more affiliated with wildlife and then natural habitat. So you talk about giving emphasis on children as well. But is there what makes this organization probably a little bit different from other similar organizations?
Can I jump in?
Of course.
So when you mention UNICEF and WWF,
Yes.
they are organizations that are focused on a particular cause.
Yes.
In Kiwanis, we are member led. The other two organizations don't have members, so they don't have members to sign up. Okay, so ours is basically member and member come together to lead other members to do more community service projects. So other than children, although we focus on children, whatever needs the community sees, so whatever clubs that we have in whatever cities, if they see there's a need there, and they go and fill that need.
I see. So you all have to always observe what is really happening in the society and all, and that's where you find the gap and try to fulfill that, right?
Yep.
I also know that part because I think I'm a little bit aware in the sense that you all do support in terms of special kids, right? Do you want to elaborate a little bit further about the support on special kids?
Yeah, I mean, in Malaysia is quite unique in Malaysia. We have 20 centers which support children with special needs. So we got a Down syndrome intervention program, which is 6 centers doing that Down intervention program. One of which is being started by Rosemary's Home Club, Kiwanis Club of Kuala Lumpur. Yeah. And then we have 4 centers that is more for job coaching.
Coaching?
Being entrepreneur, doing all kinds of activities which is business or work related.
Right.
And then the rest of the centers, about 10 of it, is more about helping the children to develop their living skills, communication, and also bring them into a community where they can help each other out. So we got 20 of such centers in nationwide.
I see. I mean, special kids, we are talking about kids like having, like earlier you mentioned, like Down syndrome. Is like autism also part of special kids? Are there any other groups that falls into this category?
I would say although we focus 5 of our centers focus on Down syndrome, a lot of the centers will cover the spectrum. So as long there's learning difficulties is, I think, the new terminology. So it spans from autism to Down syndrome to we have centers that even take cerebral palsy, dyslexia, and some of our clubs not only do that. The job training center that Ivan was talking about, where we empower them to have living skills. So as they grow up, so some of our centers are like baby till 7 years old, and then we have the 10 centers that has a variety from children all the way to adult. And there's one in Johor that took a really adult, like 40 something, almost hitting 50. So we take care of them as well. But so it's the whole spectrum.
Oh, it's amazing, which means you even take in special kids at the age like infant, like you mentioned earlier, as young as infant.
That's for the intervention program.
Early intervention.
Early intervention, because I'm pretty sure it's not really a lot of people do not know how difficult it is to really teach special kids. I'm pretty sure like even their learning solution is quite different, right? Because they literally could not take in like the national syllabus. I think that doesn't apply to their learning program, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why a lot of it focus on what we call living skills, because some of the things that we all take for granted, we every day wake up in the morning, we brush teeth, we shower and things like that. But some of these children, they don't even know how to brush their teeth and everything. So simple things like that is being we coach them, and then it becomes a habit, and they
eventually develop.
That's how we do it.
Right. It's wonderful actually to have like, NGO like yours to drive that awareness in our community and supporting, their every rights as well for living like any other kids, right? So that we
Yep.
can continue
Mhm.
on, empowering their
Mm.
dreams. So tell us a little bit more about Kiwanis. Yeah. How long has actually Kiwanis been around in Malaysia? Like how it first started?
As I mentioned, Kiwanis Club of Kuala Lumpur is the first club that started in Malaysia
Mm-hmm.
in 1976. So Kiwanis have
1976.
been, so we have
Mm,
been in Malaysia for 46 years already.
right. Mm.
Yeah, 44 years, sorry, 44 years already.
76.
And then to date, we have
Yeah.
grown into 60, uh, we now got 64
Clubs.
clubs and 1,500
Right.
members. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's
And
actually
to give you a little bit of insight,
right.
it was Tan Sri Ke Johari who was our ambassador to United States. So when he came home, he brought back Kiwanis Malaysia and he
I
started
see.
KCKL, Kiwanis Club of Kuala Lumpur.
Mm.
Yeah, right.
I see. Okay, okay. Well, you mentioned like 44 years, right? So 44 years is a really long time. So it looks like there is a lot to share today. So it always
Yeah.
heartened us, to see efforts like Kiwanis to address all these social economic issue. But before that, this is something that I'm probably very curious myself. Like on your personal note, tell us like Rosemary, Ivan, individually, like, why do you work for Kiwanis Malaysia? Or maybe how did you become involved with this organization?
Rosemary, you can go first. I think you have been
Lady
longer than me.
first.
Lady
Okay,
first.
cool. All right. So I joined I think 28 years ago. And
28 years
and
ago.
I was yeah. So I'm
Wow.
considered I have a lifetime membership already. So it's a wonderful organization. So when I joined, actually how I joined was also quite interesting. So I didn't join it straight away because I was one of the participants of one of the fundraising that has been going on for 38 years.
Wow.
And it's the Kiwanis Treasure Hunt, and we raise
Mhm.
funds particularly for the Down Syndrome Center, and other beneficiaries as well. But that's how it started. So when I participated, it's like really fun. It's a weekend, and they organize it to the tilt, and they keep us occupied. We have lots of fun,
Right.
and then we get to see what they do lah. But what I
Mm.
love about the teamwork is when I see the Kiwanian at work, it's like, wow, so amazing lah. I wish I was, I could, be a role player
Part of
in
it.
the
Yeah.
organizing of the thing, right? So when they
Mm-mm.
actually ask for volunteers, they say, okay,
Right.
who wants to help us organize the next treasure hunt? So a
Mm.
few of my friends who participated, okay lah, we
Right.
go and check it out. And then we served, but we didn't become a member. We served on the treasure hunt committee. Then the following year only we became members. But ever since then,
Ah.
it's like we get to see how the Down syndrome, we get to see it built lah, and what we talk about 0 to 7, and then 7 when we empower them, they actually go into the government schools when they reach 7 years
Oh.
old, prepare them lah for the
Mm,
government
mm, mm,
schools,
mm, mm.
or they go for private whatever. But we do more than just the children. We
Yep.
also build we have service leadership programs in schools, in
Mm-hmm.
secondary schools and primary schools.
Mm.
And we have key clubs. We teach them leadership and then teach them how to do community service within their
Right.
school and go out in their community as well. So when I got involved, it's like, wow, very meaningful. And then you know what is the best part is the camaraderie and the teamwork. When we do stuff and we see the results, it feels good. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for
Mm.
meaningful time, how you want to spend your time usefully, come join Kiwanis. So go check it out, www.kiwanis.org.my. Ivan, how did
Wow.
you join?
Yeah.
I,
How did you join, Ivan?
I first started by attending one of the dinner meetings by
Ah.
organized by one of the club, and that dinner meeting always a lot of corporate people, senior management, and all that. So the one of the member keep pestering me, asking me to join. Finally, I give in and join, and just for business networking and all that. Then after I say okay, I join your club lah. Then he say, okay, then tonight got meeting, come and join me. Come and join us. When I come for the meeting, straight away I become the club secretary already.
Oh wow! Immediate giving you a task just to retain you
Straight away,
there.
and then that's
Yes.
how my role in Kiwani started, and that was way back in 2002. But
Ah,
after
that was
that,
quite some time as well.
yeah. Then I was a bit. After a few years, then I found a job in Hong Kong. I went to Hong Kong and then I low.
Mm,
Then eventually I came back from Hong Kong and um I went back to Kiwanis.
mm-hmm.
And my late auntie is the one that dragged me back into Kiwanis. And then
Mm.
then later on, bless her soul, later on the club nominated me to be the governor of for
Right.
the district.
Kiwani.
Then I started as a treasurer and all that, and that's where I begin to see more about Kiwanis. So all the
Mm,
20 centers, I went to visit every one of them. I went to meet up with a lot of friends.
right.
I make friends in down south Johor, and I meet friends up in north and all that. And I begin to get to know people and all that,
Right.
and I see what they do and everything. That's how I became very. But my passion to serve in Kiwanis began to start blazing and it's non-stop. Lah.
Mm,
So now I'm doing
right.
as much as I can in Kiwanis.
I mean, it's amazing. I
Yeah.
can see from both of you, it really started, like for Rosemary case, you start by volunteering some of the Kiwanis work before joining as a member. And then Ivan is basically being dragged into it right away. Lah. Yeah, but it's
We have
true
a lot
enough.
of that. We have a lot of
Oh, you have a lot of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
I
we're gonna drag you in. We'll send you a form.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. No, I mean it's true because a lot of time we work with non-profit organization. It usually we join them because of what they stand for and what they have to offer out there, right? So like both of you, I'm also very much value based and mission driven by all this organization, and I think that is important because that is going to be the reason why you continue on with that particular organization because you stand firm with its the value there to offer. Okay, we're going to take a short while just to read some of the comments that we have. So we have Mat Sahajala who said hi to both of you. We have got Linda Wong that say hi all. And then as we go, we also have some we've got a lot of friends watching. Hi Kiwanians. I'm pretty sure they are from your members. And then we have Ben Po. Ben Po also said hi to both of you. And then someone here mentioned Kampate Kiwanis. KCKL Treasure
Arigato.
Hunt. Okay.
Yeah.
Rosie Sa said KCKL Treasure Hunt will be on this year as well. Come join us.
Yeah.
She's preaching already. Like, and many more. So yeah, it's quite amazing to see all this. So let's keep the comment going on while we continue on. Now, earlier on you mentioned about the Kiwani skill internationally. You talk about like 500,000 members worldwide, right? Globally. So, tell us more about the scale and the size of Kiwani's presence here in Malaysia. Walk us through your member size, the number of clubs you have. I think our listeners will be quite keen to know.
Well, in Malaysia, we got 64 clubs.
Wow, 64.
Yeah. So around Johor, we've got we have 15 clubs. In northern Ipoh, Penang, there's about 14 clubs.
Mhm.
Central has got within Klang Valley, there's more clubs. Lah. So we are trying to open up more clubs in East Malaysia, East Coast, Kelantan, and further up North Kedah and all
Right.
that. So there's been a big push for the last 2-3 years to open up more clubs in what we call this the greenfield. So this year, recently, like 2 months ago, we organized a new club in Kota Kinabalu.
Ah, okay.
So shout out to KCKK City.
Is that the first one over that site?
We used to have one,
Mm-mm.
but the members began getting old and too tired, so they had to retire themselves.
It's
So
okay.
now we
We'll
got
recruit
younger
fresh
clubs
minds.
coming. Yeah.
Right. So everyone
Yeah.
basically can join voluntarily, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be a member, you got to pay as much as 360 ringgit a year. Lah.
That's very minimal. That's
That's
completely
why it's about a
fine.
ringgit a day only. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, true. It's
Yeah.
like about a ringgit. Rosemary?
Yeah. Okay, so the scale and what we do is basically each club it's not like humongous, so it's very cozy. So the biggest club maybe about 60 members and then the smallest maybe 20, kind of thing. So it starts with a seat, and the seat is usually a champion champion who like really want to help something, want to do something, and
Mm.
we have very inspirational leaders who
Right.
who has started all the centers, and it's the friends
Mm.
that gather. And when you use the club, what happens is the club gives you a structure,
Right.
training,
Mm.
what is governance, how to raise funds.
Mm.
So it's building capacity and empowering our members to do more. And
Right.
then when you have a group of friends doing together, it's a lot of fun, one, no?
Yeah.
So it's
Correct.
nice.
Correct.
Yeah. So
It's,
a lot of fellowship. Yes.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you always like to have like same-minded people in the same team and then channeling the same cause also. And I think earlier you mentioned about the
Right.
structure is really pretty important because I think that's going to tell people like there are actually policies in place to hold that leadership accountable,
Yes.
right? And I think for those of you who are listening right now, if you are keen to join Kiwanis, like Rosemary and Ivan mentioned, do join them. If you intend to make social good part of your career, welcome on board as well, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Kiwanis.org.my. Okay.
Kiwanis not mine.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. And just to do, can I do
Right.
a shout out? Okay.
Can.
So in terms of Malaysia, in terms of Kiwanis organization globally, we are
Mm-hmm.
one of the very dynamic district, very, very dynamic. So our projects are always got recognized, top three, that sort of thing. And not only that, our Kiwanis treasure hunt has been on the Malaysian records, what Guinness Book of
Record.
Records
Guinness
Yes.
Book
as
of
the
Record. Okay.
longest running treasure hunt in Malaysia.
Ever
Okay,
heard.
so yeah,
Wow.
so long term stuff. Our projects are long term. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Looks like we really need a lot of members.
Yeah.
No, tell us a little bit personal on like both of your role in Kiwanis itself. Like maybe Ivan, you as a past governor, what have you been doing? And Rosemary, let's start with
Well,
Ivan.
I was a governor last year.
Mm-hmm.
So during my term, we started a few projects. So now as a immediate past governor, some of these projects I still are involved in lah. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things is what we call the Kiwanis 4.0. It's about starting a digitalization of the Kiwanis experience. So
Mm.
we have our own. We come up with a website design, and all the clubs can have the same design, their own website. So it's a digital home for the Kiwanis clubs.
Mm.
That home comes with a payment portal through 2C2P, and
Mm-hmm.
they can use that portal to raise money, to sell their goods and everything, and payment can be done online. And it
Right.
was very timely because of COVID-19.
Yes.
Everybody is now going digital already.
Correct. I
And
think we
then
just can't run from that.
yeah, and then the other thing that was started last year was what we call the Kiwanis Malaysia Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Because we find that we need to support all our centers and all that. So we are starting to build up the academy to put the knowledge into one location that we can share with everybody.
Mm.
So more and more things are coming up, and more and more things are going to be digitalized as well. So
Right.
that's
Right.
something that I'm involved. And then the other part that I'm very passionate about is building up more clubs. And I'm very focused on East Malaysia.
I see. So
Because
that's where we talk about the Sabah Sarawak side lah.
yeah, there's some projects
Yes.
coming up there. There's more clubs I'm hoping to open up in East Malaysia because I
Mm.
feel that there's lots of potential that we Kiwanis can work on in East Malaysia.
Right. I see. So how about you, Rosemary?
Okay. Okay, for me, I'm the service chair for Kiwanis Malaysia.
Right.
So I serve the nation and all the 64 clubs that were started. So basically, what I look at is what can we do on a national level. Okay, so there are companies that come to us and says, okay, we want to do CSR. Can you help us reach, one goal, kind of a couple of states
Yeah.
at one time, or Peninsula Malaysia at one time. So for example, last year we did a focus point, and they wanted to do give of sight, so give away glasses. So we took them
Right.
to schools, to orphanages, to refugee schools, and then they came and did the test tests and give them free glasses. And then MBO wanted to, on Children's Day, just treat them lah. So that's their
Like a
CSR.
movie day.
Treat them to a free movie. So the
Yeah.
whole peninsula, all the movie theaters, all the
Will
Kiwanis
book.
clubs will bring beneficiaries, the children, to come
Yeah.
and enjoy the movie and then things like that. But I also help new clubs with service projects. So how do they find needs in their community? How do you get it going? How do you raise funds?
Right.
So I help them engage and bridge resources. So if you need
Right.
resources, and one good example is during this COVID-19, a lot of
Yeah.
refugees. So there was a need, and we got a call and says we have families. Can you help us? So in Klang Valley, when the lockdown happened, right? Nobody could go anywhere. Their infrastructure was locked down.
Yeah.
So I call volunteers, Kiwanis. Can
Mm.
you when you go do your groceries? I give you few families. Can you do extra groceries and go deliver to these families? So that's what we did. So we actually fed 1,340 families over the MCO, and we raised over 115,000 ringgit just for the food aid for
Wow.
refugees.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that you mentioned about some of the projects during MCO, right? Now let's talk about, maybe, is there any projects that you guys, Kiwanis Malaysia, have initiated or embarked in the past? Maybe some where are more significant that you maybe can recall, like enlighten us a few more.
One of the projects that we do in East Malaysia is we work in collaboration with Starfish Foundation, and then we went to help to refurbish their hostels for the children from the
Starfish.
it's called
The starfish.
Starfish Malaysia, yeah,
All right.
Foundation Malaysia. So they actually run hostels, and they got 5 hostels for the students from the rural areas, so the kampong, come to the nearer to the city to go to the school. So what we did was, again, Kiwanis Club KL, they helped out, and then to raise fund for their refurbishment and all that. So now we are extending the support, and we do more. So we're going to help them to what we call fruits of success, so that they got land where they can plant durian, mango, so that their hostels can be sustainable. Then we also that
Right.
some of these projects are very meaningful, that we can go and meet people at the same time and help and collaborate with other NGOs as well.
Yeah. So who
Yeah,
have
we
you
do
been collaborating? Maybe like name us a few that some of the org that you have worked with.
across the board. I mean, for example, the Starfish Foundation, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we also recently we worked with Rotary Club, because we couldn't go to Kajang. So one of our members knew a member there, and he brought his club to help do the refugee food aid as well. But
Right.
we've also done with MVI, Captain Bala, who does the volunteer fireman. So he has so we have done some events with him and things like that. But he has also helped us with one of the significant things that we do is what we call the youth camps. We empower youth to do that. And not only that, our youth camp would also engage our own members, but beneficiaries, our the members in schools, in secondary
Right.
schools and colleges. But we also bring orphanages, and we also bring refugees. We mix them all up. Our learning, whether it's deaf, we also have deaf school kids join us for those camps, and we mix them all up to integrate. And then they have to speak different languages. They have to learn how to sign,
Right.
and they get empowered. This camps has been going on for 20 over years already.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, and then we would of course like Leaderomics. Also, we
Yeah.
brought in other organizations who has their skill sets in different things to help us across the board lah. So
Right.
many, yes.
That's a lot. I mean,
Yes.
a lot of time when people think about NGO, most of them sometimes had the impression like they are mainly fundraiser, but it's actually not the case. It could extend to like a huge portfolio that you have mentioned earlier on. Now, as I take on some comments that we have online, Linda Wong actually had this thing dedicated to Ivan. I remember now, I saw Ivan at Taman Jaya during Care to Run program. I'm a volunteer.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank-
So that is
Well,
our
thank you for
share to
volunteering. Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Thanks, Linda.
okay, for those of you, of course, if you have more information, you want to wish to understand more about Kiwanis, you can always check out kiwanis.org.my, right?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And then we have
Yes.
another listener. Here's Serena Quack giving both of you a lovely expression
Yeah.
emoji over there.
Serena,
Right.
Serena will be the future governor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's what we call the vice governor.
I see. So, Serena, next time maybe it's your turn to come on board for
Yeah.
this interview
Yeah.
then.
Uh, uh,
All right.
yeah.
Now, speaking of which, tell us something maybe that is more pressing, like, what would Kiwanis like to have it done maybe in the next couple of months, especially in this post MCO, CMCO period? Many people were badly affected.
Well, our centers, the 20 centers are also affected by COVID-19. So when
Oh.
MCO, so the centers were shut down. So some of
Mm,
them operated. Well, at the end of the day, they were thinking about the kids, the children, and all that. So
mm,
some of them begins to have a remote learning with the children, keeping in touch with the kids and all that.
mm,
So, so when the now COVID-19 is open, there are a little bit more extra cost to incur because of you need to make sure sanitization. Then your capacity is half.
right.
Making it so we are still trying to assess how this will impact and how to help the children.
Mm, mm.
So there may be increase in cost and all that we need to deal with. And then on top of that, there's a project that I'm also starting to work with our Kiwanis counterpart from the US.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so they have come up in US. They got what they call this a book project or literacy project where
Mhm.
they get books at a very low cost or virtually free, and they give away to children. And I got in touch
Mm,
with them and I say, hey, look, we also want to do that in Malaysia.
right.
So now I'm trying to work with them so that we can try and bring the books into Malaysia and then bring it to the hands of the children
Mm,
in
That
the
needed.
rural areas to help them to beef up their
correct.
English
Yeah,
literacy and all that.
literacy. Yep. True.
Yeah, yeah. If I can
Yeah.
also add, I
Sure.
mean, because of the shutdown and then because it's a tough situation, fundraising will be tough. So when the centers get going again, we are
Mm-hmm.
worried about sustainability. So if you're asking
True.
what is our top priority, is looking at
Mm,
sustainability of our permanent projects. So
right.
one of the things that we do is what we call the peak summit, the peak basically is to empower all the permanent centers, stakeholders, and people who manages them, how
Mm,
to overcome, how to improve themselves,
right.
how to do fundraising. Instead of
Exactly.
uh, it's they are even looking at entrepreneurship in terms of instead of giving us fish, how do we fish? Giving the
Mm,
rod and teaching us how to fish lah. So
mm-hmm.
it's that. So it's the whole thing about management, fundraising, and if we fundraising, how to be accountable and how to draw in so that we have permanent and long-term supporters.
I see. And of course, to listeners out there, on top of what Rosemary and Ivan has shared with us, also support one of the initiatives that we have here, which is Safe with Stories My. So we are raising funds to actually support the basic needs and, of course, education materials for the underprivileged communities, as well as, like you mentioned, for special kids as well. Right. So, I mean, right now there are many people who are reaching out to provide food and essential, but of course, with this campaign, we also we hope that education is also pretty much emphasized too. So, I think this part is something that I wanted to ask lah. So, in relative fact, right? The hands-on experience sometimes make me realize that it's actually not easy to raise fund to support a cause. There are a lot of hard work, there are a lot of like team involvement, planning, and structuring going on before implementing a project. So, can you tell us or share us a little bit about, what are some of the challenging facets of driving a project? Is there any factor that really limit the attractiveness of funding? Yeah.
To me, the most important thing is having the people
Mm,
with the right passion and commitment to the project
mm,
and getting together as a team working on and thrashing out ideas how to make the project uh, impactful and more meaningful. And if the project is impactful, meaningful, eventually the money will come. The right people will come with the right money because they see what you're doing, they'll be touched by it, and they will contribute.
So,
So so the people is important. The Kiwanis are important.
Yeah.
so the
And
yeah.
maybe another point that I would like to point out is whatever we take on the Kiwanis especially lah, it's not what we call the one-off projects. So the one-off projects is it's a lot of people can do lah. So a lot of CSR is usually one-off, right? You see where
Yes.
your target is, your theme is, and then you go for it for this year. But a lot of the things that we do is the dedicated members, and if you cut across a majority of our retention is actually pretty high. And not only that, the members have been here like more than 10 years, that kind of stuff. So when somebody jumps in, it's long term. That means it's not touch and go.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So in that sense, that finding the like-minded people to be dedicated and committed, that's
Correct.
the tough part. And I would say that's one thing I'm really proud of. What I can see in Kiwanis is we have a lot of members like that lah. Okay, so but we
Like
need
both
more.
of you.
So please come and join us.
I mean, understood perfectly lah. Because you need to have the like-minded people in order to achieve that goal lah. And then plus, sometimes a lot of people don't know the charity part actually commits and eats up a lot of your time also. So to find dedicated people to put in that amount of effort, it could be quite challenging. But yes, if you do have the heart, you want to join Kiwanis, again, go to them.
Yeah,
right.
And it's very rewarding once you do something and you see the fruits. It's like wow, and you see the children grow because we saw the Down syndrome children that came to our center, and now they're working, and that's the amazing part. So
yes, that's really touching.
There's a saying: "There's no retirement in Kiwanis." So once you get involved in it, you will do it for life.
Right. Okay. Now, just because I think we have another two guests coming on later, so I'm just going to put forward one very last question. Looks like it's always never ending lah. This part of the part where we're supporting cause and helping to close that social gaps is always there. So, what is Kiwani's aspiration probably in the next 5 to 10 years? Like, what kind of long-term objective you plan to achieve?
I want personally. I like to see Kiwanis grow. You know that the biggest district in Southeast in Asia Pacific is Kiwanis in Taiwan. They got 18,000 members.
Wow,
that's 10 times or more than 10 times of Malaysia.
Ours is 1,005, right?
1,005. So I hope to my aspiration or what I hope to see is within the next 5 to 10 years, our membership can grow to 5,000.
member.
And it's not because of size, but it's because of the more we have, then the more hands we can for the children. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then we need to work. We need to refresh so that we can need more people to come in and help.
Right.
So
it's the people resources now lah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we appreciate you telling our stories and getting us on air because one of the downfalls we have is awareness. So what I would love to see 5-10 years down the road is we Kiwanis is known instead of what is Kiwanis, that sort of thing. Yes. Yeah.
No, thank you so much also for being in the journey together, because we also wanted to definitely partner with an NGO who is able to support and drive the cause along, because that's like your area of forte, and what we can come in is actually to help brand who Kiwanis really is and what are you guys supporting in our society in Malaysia particularly. So anyway, it's been great having the two of you on board with us so far. I think we all have come to understand so much more about Kiwanis Malaysia and the great cause that you are supporting. So it's truly an enlightening session for both with both of you, and we are proud, like I mentioned earlier, to be in part of this journey together for Safe with Story Smile. All right. So, of course, for those of you who are listening, if you wish to support our campaign, do check out Safe with Story Smile on Facebook and Instagram. So, once again, thank you so much, Rosemary. Thank you so much, Ivan. All the best in your endeavors. So, stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Check out one of the video before we proceed on to invite two other guests. So take a look. That's right. So if you are communicating, commuting to, wherever using the public transportation like MRT, you will be noticing that all this digital billboard placement in this MRT have our campaign up there, and we also put up a QR code. So if you want to make a contribution, all you have to do is just to pick up your phone and get that QR code scanned. Okay. So while we have two aspiring leaders earlier on, so coming right up, we also have two more great leaders, also from Kiwanis Malaysia. Without further ado, let's welcome Nelson Ngel, Lieutenant Governor from Division 4, and Jimmy Yap, Lieutenant Governor from Division 2 to join us. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, Jimmy. And that's Nelson, right?
Yeah.
All right. So welcome to aforadio, both of you. Thank you so much for taking your time to join us. Now, for those of you who know Jimmy and Nelson, if you do want to say hi to them, you can also comment and let us know. So, Jimmy, you are from Division 2, right? Which region are you overseeing?
Actually, I'm from Johor.
Johor. So you are now in Johor also.
Yes. I'm in Johor Bahru.
Johor
Actually,
Bahru.
Division 2 is in Johor, and then we are comprised of 15 clubs in my divisions. Yes.
And Nelson, you on the other hand is from Division 4, right?
4. Yeah, 4.
So you are taking lead in which part then?
Actually, we are taking lead to Perak, Penang, and Kedah.
So one is from south, one is from north today.
Northern, yeah.
Right. So we have got two representatives from south and north to be with us. Now,
Yes.
before we go a little bit more in depth about the projects that you both are leading now, I just want to ask both of you a personal question also. The same question I asked Rosemary and Ivan. So tell us personally, like how did you become involved with Kiwanis Malaysia? Now, who want to start first?
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, Jimmy, start first. All right.
Okay. Actually, is getting to know Kiwanis is from my friend. This Albert Teo.
So he was a member also. He is a member.
Yes. He was LG two terms away from my current LG. So what inspired me is like be able to help and reach out for the needers, family and supporting groups like orphanage home, orphanage home. It is so much joy when you see people are being cared. You know, those are the joy that money really can't buy. Actually, you know, I mean, their so-called sense of
satisfaction,
happiness on their face, or gratitude toward you, or is so much. You got to be in person to feel it. That's all.
I see. How about you, Nelson? Like how you started off with Kiwanis Malaysia?
Actually, I joined a charity event, crossover to Thailand.
Wow.
I saw this in newspaper. They are doing the charity, bringing the Chinese book to the one of the Chinese school in Thailand also.
Okay.
So nearby Krabi. Then when we go there, we see a lot of children there receiving the present like pencil, Chinese book. So when I come back to Malaysia, I join.
So you go there and then you get inspired, then you come back. Okay, I want to join Kiwanis.
Yeah. All
right, that's fantastic. I like to hear all these personal stories, especially because I think that is part that really keeps you going, right? So tell us about. I was informed that you guys are very, very occupied, especially during MCO period until now. So tell us about the projects that you have embarked. You know, tell us how many projects are there. What are those? So maybe we start with Nelson first this time.
Okay, during the MCO we have two projects. One is sending the lunch box, dinner box, and the
Mm-hmm.
provision to the poor family.
Okay.
So this is the 2 project we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Second, you mentioned you have 2 projects, right?
Yeah, second one is sending the provision to the poor family.
Sending
So
provision.
we give,
It's like
yeah,
it's like monetary funding, is it?
no, it's a grocery.
Oh, grocery.
Grocery.
Okay, so you all send
Mm-hmm.
some essential items to some of the poor families as well, the underprivileged, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about you, Jimmy?
Yes, during the MCO period, we were approached by some of the family members who are in the hospital line and
Okay.
doctor as well,
Mm-hmm.
and they were telling us because of this COVID, the hospital really shortage of medical
PPE.
supply,
Right.
medical
Oh, medical
supplies.
supplies. Okay, okay.
Yeah, like the PPE and all this lah, you know.
All right, all right.
So because we as Kiwanian, we are helping the children and the community one at a time.
Yeah.
So by helping the hospital and the frontline medical staff, also part of our goal, you see. So we'll under the Division 2, we have launched this program, which is what do you call it? Raise fund for frontline medical supply for nurse, staff, and doctors in primary in this our hospital, Sultan Amina and
Sultan Amina. The
Permai
Johor one.
Hospital.
Yeah.
Okay. Why would I say that? Because this the hospital where they do the COVID-19 testing in this hospital, and the Permai also for housing the patient.
The patients.
Yes.
I
So
see.
our club are very eager to work hand in hand to chip in whatever they can through within their club funding, or from the external source. So we during this project we have raised more than 50,000. The supply we have like gowns, N95, three ply surgical masks, and the face shield protector, and so forth. Yeah.
So when you mention medical personnel, so this time around you are targeted more towards like medical personnel in hospital lah. So it's not frontliners like the bomba, the police. This time around it's focused.
We the police officer, we also have given them, because there is a very shortage of it during that time. I think in the beginning of April or something. Yeah. So we managed to disperse all the supplies to them, and then maybe I should thank the Red Cross, because some supply need to be sent to Kluang, which during MCO period we can't
move around. Yeah.
So only them can do it. So they were helping us to deliver the supply to Kluang hospital. As you know, that those are the COVID-19 center for the hospital. So we very honored having them to help us out.
We appreciate them. Yep. Agreed, totally.
Yes.
Now back a little to Nelson. Nelson, earlier you mentioned that you have lead the projects on like sending lunch boxes and dinner boxes to the poor family, right? Now tell us, like for the lunch dinner project, how do you go about sending them? Is it like you have to fix a time? I must send them at 12 p.m. every day, and then like 1 meal per person, or we give them 3 meals per day, that kind. Like how do you run that?
Okay, we set the time to sending the meal to them is like lunch is before 12 o'clock. Okay. For dinner is before 6 o'clock.
Before 6. All right. So you will send like basically 2 meals a day to these groups of people.
Yeah, 2 meals.
Right,
2 meals a
that's
day.
pretty cool because some of the NGOs that I've heard, like because they in order to maximize reach, also they only manage to send like 1 meal per day. So
Mm-hmm.
just now because like Jimmy has mentioned, they have actually donated 50,000 over of PPE equipment, right? Earlier, I think Jimmy mentioned that.
Yes, yes,
Now,
yes, correct.
how about you, Nelson? Nelson, like how many how many meals that you have prepared throughout this period of time?
Okay, during the MCO time, up to that, we sending out is about 37,000 lunch and dinner
Wow.
pack. Yeah, and
So,
also 4,000 set of provision to the poor family also.
the
Mm-hmm.
groceries and all lah. Wow.
Yeah,
I see. So it's like, oh, this actually quite a huge number. How many
huge
families were
number.
there? How many families?
Okay, we are taking care for the lunch and dinner box. We are sending them to the orphanage and the old folks home and the handicap home. It's about 16 to 17 center. For the
16.
poor family, we're sending out about 4,000 families. Yeah.
Oh, that's a huge reach that we are talking about. Now, because in order for you to prep the meal, right? Like how
Yeah.
do you have a central kitchen to work with?
Yeah,
Or
we work with a vegetarian shop.
Ah,
They help us to cook. Due to the SOP of the JKN, we need to deliver the food within 4 hours.
Okay.
We must reach them.
So means once you cook, pack, you must deliver within 4 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know about that. That's like the SOP lah, in order to get
Yeah,
the food
SOP.
delivered fresh.
Food.
I
Yes.
see. Now, tell us also like how does this initiative started? Like because Jimmy, I think mentioned just now, someone called you, right? Someone from I think a medical personnel family relative
Yes,
called
yes,
you.
yes.
And how
Yes.
about you, Nelson? That you guys just suddenly say, oh, let's do this, or maybe you all also receive a call from someone, to put up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, we starting this project is one of the orphans home. They're calling up to help ask us to rest for the diapers for them, the adult diapers. So we think that if this center need our help, maybe other center also need our help. So we try to call up the center. They are giving us feedback, say that like the kitchen helper cannot go to the center to cook. They cannot go to the market to buy the food. So we try to source out whether we can help or not.
Okay, I see. So in the midst of this current event, right? Because just now you also mentioned, both of you mentioned that CMO time, you can't really cross border and all, right? Even though you wish to. But then tell us, how did you actually mobilize the people to support and volunteer for the project? Like,
okay, actually, for my side is we need to get approval from the JKM police station. So we get the permit to move around to sending all the food and provision.
I see. And for Jimmy, maybe something to add on or similar context?
Yeah, actually, for us, during MCO, we actually had to go to a police station to get the approval. For moving. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. So they say you are to that kind of area, you'll be safe lah. We are not like wandering around, go shopping or anything like that.
Right. I mean, you just want to go there, get the thing delivered. Yeah.
So if the officer look at your car is filled with supply, they will let you go lah.
I see.
Yeah.
So you have to let them.
Yeah.
You have to let them take a pity on your, your situation also lah.
Yeah. They use our supply and then we go.
I see. Now, there's one part I think a lot of people are concerned of, especially donors, right? Sometimes you see there are so many people coming about to launch projects and then to help feed the poor and then provide PPE and all. So how on your side is that you are able to identify the right communities to help, so that maybe you won't have the redundancy and then you clash with other NGOs. So how do you go about that?
Okay, just to tell you, initially our frontline medical supply is not going for this kind of equipment. We only go for masks, the three ply mask, which was very shortage, and the price was rocket high.
Yeah,
we were trying to step in, but then because during that time the price of the mask is way too high. So and then government also start to step in on controlling the three-ply mask. So at one time it was stable a little bit. That's why we say, we didn't want to do that. But then having to challenge on this frontline medical supply, we cannot just simply do and then send. No. There's a certain what do you call it?
Rules in place. Specs also.
That's why we consult with the doctor. Hey, what are the specs you require? And then we just go and get the right one, because we don't want to get the supply and then not be able to send to the hospital because the spec cannot be used. So we were very careful during beginning at the time. We really had to check the spec and then check with the supplier. Oh, this is the one. And then the doctor say, okay, can go this one. Then we can go and check. We learn a lot, during this MCO on the medical supplies. Yeah.
Exactly, because if not, it will be pointless also if you are sending something that does not have the function. It does not pose the right functionality to those, especially in high risk of infection. So I totally agree on that. But in order to I mean, back to the question earlier, how do you avoid so that you don't send like the same food to the same people that other people is sending also? How do you avoid that? Maybe Nelson, you can tell us.
Okay, for the food one, lunch and dinner, we already call up the center to let them know we will send daily. We will send daily. So we renew renew the contract every 2 weeks. Because from the government to announce, we renew. Every 2 weeks, we'll call, okay, we continue another 2 weeks, we continue another 2 weeks. For the provision, we cross-check with the area adun like YB. We cross-check the list, make sure there is no trouble.
Right. So you will cross-check with the State Assembly Adun then to make sure that you are sent to the targeted right community out there that requires help. Okay. All right.
Just to add, recently we also have done some giving the supply, essential supply, daily supply to some needed families and supporting groups like orphanage home and old folks home. Because of the during the COVID, the donation has been very less, and then some even the poor family that getting hard time to buy food and all this lah. But like what you say, we don't what do you call it? We don't send the food repeatedly where they have. Just like for example, some orphanage home, they have plenty of rice, right? Or oil. We don't send. Instead, we buy canned food, buy a biscuit and other thing that they need lah. So as a family also sometimes they are like that. So there was one project we have done by KCMA. We have supplied the fresh vegetable to the family. That is really touch, I guess.
I mean, I think that is absolutely fantastic. That should be the way so that you can maximize the reach to the people, and at the same time we also want to prevent wastage, right? Because at the end, everyone needs, there's so many people out there that needs the resources, so we make sure that resources reach to the right people, and then the right resources also, like you mentioned earlier. So that's awesome. I mean, I think especially in this period of tough time, many among the marginalized community need our help. So it's really amazing to have people like both of you to be around, so helping others. And then like Jimmy mentioned earlier, it really gives you the sense of happiness and accomplishment as you help. Right. So back to our campaign to all of our listeners, Safe with Stories MY. It also came about as an awareness to tell people how important, basic essentials and educations are. And we want the public to know that we all can play a part and making big strides to serve the community. So peeps, do lend your support by donating to our campaign, Safe with Stories MY. We'll pin that on the comment section below and you can check it out. So seems like our time is basically up now. So I want to say thank you to both of you. Thank you to Jimmy. Thank you to Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. And we wish you the very best as well. So stay safe and hopefully we all can catch up real soon. Right?
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.